Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Did you have a good night last night? No? Did you have a good night last night? Yeah, that's better. I did, anyway. Right, our first interview today is someone very special for me. He was a member of Queen. When I was doing research for As It Began, we didn't know the name of the bass player. I remember Freddie coming out with Doug. They all agreed, Brian, Roger, yeah, Doug. Doug who? Don't know. We refer to him as Doug X. His name's Doug Bogie. So please welcome to the stage the elusive Mr. Doug Bogie.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Hello. Thank you very much for the opportunity, or the Inquisition. I'm not sure which is going to be.
Are you comfortable?
I'm very comfortable. I'm ancient now, so I've got notes, just in case you ask something I've got no idea about. So you'll have to excuse me if I need to use them. Shall we?
Yeah, do you want to say something?
I do. I'd like to point out that I am a fan of Queen, just like everyone. I should really be sitting down there, okay? So I wanted to bring something with me to explain that to you. So it's a bit cheeky. I made a wee tune in my home studio last weekend, and it's kind of a love letter from me to the guys. There's no stress between me and that. I've met Brian a few times since, and they're good guys as far as I'm concerned, and the greatest band in the world, let's face it. Just, that's the way it is. Queen can't be beat. So.
Celebrating 40 years of the greatest band in the world.
The show goes on, it never ends. From the beginning into the future, the world for all our lives. A journey started, never ended. 40 years. They found their voice, he sings out still. It's so glorious. Such blinding passion, a life of thrills. Queen, 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 Queen. Baby, love you. Our Queen Convention brought us here. Celebrate 40 years. Our friends surround us, let us cheer. Let's play the game, the time is near. It's a kind of magic, oh my dear. Music forever in our hearts. The night sky sparkles with their stars. The show goes on, it never ends. We love you. Love you. Love you.
So that really was just a wee love letter from me to the lads, and I kind of included you all in it. I hope you don't mind. Right, that's the decent bit. I better just bugger off.
No, got some questions to ask you before you do that. So, Doug, what made you interested in music? Why did you want to become a musician?
I had a mad elder brother, and he was into kind of, this is in the day when to be in a band you had to dress up like Buddy Holly. It's a long time ago. He was a much older brother. And I used to play with his stuff. He used to hit me. And then a couple of years later, I managed to acquire my dad's tape player and recorder, and that was me hooked. Recording things, playing things, learning how to phase stuff. Brilliant. Kind of wanted to be a big radio guy, but never happened. So music was maybe even better, because you could just make a big noise.
So what was your first band that you joined?
a couple of really, really dreadful blues bands at school. Although I've never lost love for the blues because it's the basis of pretty much all of it, I think, you know. So I had a week in a semi-pro band, which toured Surrey area called Shadowfax.
Who were your influences then?
Got to be Cream, got to be Big Bill Brunsey from the Blues Days, B.B. King, all the kind of names you kind of expect, I guess. Then you grew and you got more interested, and then Led Zeppelin happens, you go, wow, you know. So it's the rock of the 70s, I guess.
Okay, well, let's take you back in time then to 1971.
Aye.
Beginning of the year.
Aye.
Suddenly, you're in a band called Queen. Can you tell us how that came about,
They were
please?
kind of on the cusp of Smile and Queen at the time. There's still arguments going on amongst the guys, but I was a serial auditionist. I used to get a newspaper called The Melody Maker every week because that's what the hip kids at school did, and I was still kind of just out of school. And I would just go through the back and say, you know, bassist wanted, I'd go. Anyway, I'd play with anybody, don't care. Had a great time. Answered this ad, got a phone call back. I think it was from John, the roadie. He was a really, really nice guy. And there was me, popped my guitar into my back rucksack, because I didn't have a case in those days. Jumped on the Green Line bus from Weybridge in Surrey up to the centre of town. Jumped off at the Royal Albert Hall, you know the one, big one, like that. And then I had to find my way to Brian's college, because we were rehearsing, or auditioning, sorry, in his lecture theatre. So there's me in this great big ancient posh building going, I think I'm in the wrong place. But right enough, that was it. Plugged in. So got a few encouraging words from John there. And sort of Brian just said, well, we'll just start with a bit of kind of, we'll just rock some kind of early 60s bluesy type stuff, getting the feel of things. We did. Having a bit of a laugh, showing off, of course, because I was young and full of myself. And then Freddie turns up at the back of the hall. Sort of comes in a kind of like a one-man procession like he does, you know. He's just, even then, bigger than life. He had Mary with him. Didn't know her name at that time, but they sort of made a kind of really nice kind of couple. There was a sort of a bonhomie amongst them, you know. And he was wearing what I used to call his catskin jacket. I think it was rabbit fur, but it looked like catskin to me. But quite a character, as you can imagine. Came in, hello, my dears. Well, that's fine by me, all right. He's a pretty cool guy. And we just started running through some songs, and without really any kind of discussion, that was it. I seemed to be in.
Can you remember any of the songs that you auditioned with?
Well, being a riffer, Stone Cold Crazy. I remember that particularly. And if I was to say any other ones, I think Son and Daughter, I think, was part of it, because I remember that go. And then you got Roger, and he's like 6 inches off my ears going bash, bash, bash. It's great. I had a terrific time.
So when you went for the audition for Queen, were you in a band then or out of it?
Only kind of doing, you know what rehearsal bands are? You just get a few pals together, and then mostly just school pals and that, and we'd take like the wee village hall and just bash around a few tunes. So not a serious band. Yeah.
Had you heard of Queen?
Not one word is the honest answer. Not a drop. It was all fresh to me. There you go.
All fresh for you. So you did this audition at Imperial College.
Aye.
When did you find out you'd become a member of
Well,
Queen?
it just kind of seemed to work on the day. Now, I think you're going to ask me about the gigs, weren't you? Yeah. I think maybe the reason I was in was because they had 2 gigs coming up and they needed somebody. So maybe I was the least dreadful of what turned up that day, I don't know. But we started rehearsing. For that kind of band, quite heavy rehearsal, because, obviously they were desperate to become proper, real professional musicians, and that was kind of quite a new thing to me. So, yeah, it was great. We spent several days there, running through the tracks, just working up a set. It was good. Had a fantastic time, as you can imagine. Because even then, you knew they had something. It was a bit rough and ready, don't get me wrong. It wasn't a long way from perfection, but there was a wee kind of edge that you don't normally get when you just sit down and play with a few guys, you know.
So these 2 gigs that Queen had lined up and you become part of it, what I want to ask you is, did you get many rehearsals with them before these 2 shows?
I think it was probably about 4 or maybe 6, I think. No more than that, though.
And did you run through the set list of the show, yeah?
Just don't ask me what it was.
No, I won't ask you what it was.
I was a young lad.
It's a long time ago. So what was your initial thoughts of the band members, these 3 guys?
Gosh.
Clever guys.
Hostage to fortune or what, eh? I could say the wrong thing here. Freddie just had something. I have to tell you, Freddie was not a great singer. But then, in all fairness, I've heard Brian say the same thing. What he did have was just buckets of the stuff you need to be a frontman of a band and make it a success. Making it work technically maybe just kind of came in a little bit over time. He just had that thing, you know. Brian, of course, could just play. I mean, he just played. Those days, he was very quiet and kind of, he was all the things I wasn't and apparently should have been, which is why I think I got the sack. But he was very quiet. He'd be over there doing his stuff. Freddie'd be leaping about, even though we're just in a rehearsal room. But I have to say, really, my favorite guy in Queen must be Roger. Because without a doubt, he has it, you know. He's a musical drummer. And he just had personality. I mean, he's not a big fella, but he came across big when he's behind a kit, you know? And it was just fantastic playing with that guy. And you could feel that there was a vibrancy in it, an understanding of the kind of the rhythms and the partial rhythms. I kind of got into it later because then I became, in my later life, I became a recording engineer. So I've been lucky enough to record with all manner of people at all levels. But no one comes close to him for hitting those things with passion. He just gets it, you know? Fantastic. What a wonderful... And of course, let's not forget the voice. He's the guy with the real voice. In those days, he had all the rasp, the edge, just fantastic. And his fantastic big voice was what allowed all the other ones, I think, to sink in once they got into the recording thing. So you have all the high falsettos of Brian, and it just sinks right into Roger. Fantastic. Just fantastic.
Can I take you back to your first... I know you only did 2 gigs with them, but nevertheless...
Rub it in, why don't you?
Hornsey Town Hall.
Aye.
How did you feel being with them? Can you remember the gig? Can you tell us anything about it?
When I was 17, I thought I was pretty good. I wasn't a new member of anything. I was just one of the guys in the band. And the gig was fine. But like in those days, when you were a support band, you're about 4th down the list to the likes of Pink Fairies and goodness, I mean, pretty things you can imagine. It was a pretty fuggy atmosphere in there. Nay lights, nay sound worth a damn because you were just the bottom, you were the pits, you know. But it kind of went off all right, I thought. The usual kind of taking it apart afterwards. Oh, you did that wrong, well, that key change wasn't right, or you missed that cue. I mean, the usual stuff. But bands do that, you know.
So you felt that first gig went well?
Yeah, it was okay.
So again, following night, consecutive night, Saturday night, Kingston Poly.
Killer night for me, because that was my home ground. So I had people I knew in the audience. I was feeling pretty cool about that. It was good. I enjoyed myself. But I was leaping about a bit, because I'm prone to leaping about on stage.
Okay,
I think the word ebullient was used in the latest.
So you've just said now you're leaping about. This is what seemed to upset Freddie.
Apparently, but he never told me. If he told me, I could have kept quiet up the back and been a multimillionaire. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. Hey, what kind of an idiot am I?
So when you were on stage playing with them, didn't he give you any funny looks or, you know, just move out the way? Oh. Just can you imagine him jumping in front of Freddie and Freddie's trying to do stuff.
I'm way too busy being incredibly cool in front of people I know.
Hometown, audience.
Yeah. I'm 17, for goodness sake. Remember what it was like to be 17?
I can remember well.
Full of vim and vigour, I think they say. Yeah. It's kind of dissipated a bit now, but, you know.
There's a story about Kingston Poly that I heard in the dressing room.
Yeah, I heard that one.
Brian was playing a piano,
well,
and Chris Squire came in, and he was really unhappy and was quite nasty to Brian. Can you remember that?
I was not there, but what I can tell you is, again, from my subsequent career, because I've been very lucky. Although I was a kind of a failed pop star rock star from then, I've still worked in the music business for another 20-odd years and then moved into the video business. So I've been very, very lucky and very, very happy. But back then, you meet more people as you go through life, and there's a studio called Advision where Yes did their first couple of albums. I knew the engineers there. Chris Squire, who I admired immensely. He was absolutely a formative. I was in awe when we got to support them completely. I was going to plug into his. I played through Chris Squire's dual Showman amp. I'm amazed, you know. But he's an arse. He's just I love his music. I mean, I went to the last tour, but he's just not a very nice man, you know. Such a shame. Never meet your. Well, not some. Never meet some of your heroes. But there you go.
Okay, well, the image of Queen at that time was black and white. And I can remember Freddie saying to me once, this bass player at the time, couldn't remember his name, had flowery shirt on, and he was so damn annoying. Was that true? How come he didn't make you wear black and white?
I am still quite annoying. That's fair, yeah. Well, again, it was a band. It wasn't, this was no dictatorship as far as I was concerned. There was a discussion which the theme should be black and white. Okay, that's the theme. It wasn't an instruction. I didn't get given one, you know. It's not like Brian Epstein saying, here, you know, here's your Gandhi suit, lads, you know. So I was mostly black and white, but my shirt just did have a slight lilac snakeskin print in it, that's all. I mean, anyone could be wearing snakeskin print, surely. It was 1971, by the way, just in case you think I'm a bit weird.
I can see why you give John Deacon his top to wear at John's first gig. So, when you were told the band didn't want you in the group, you've done 2 gigs with them on stage. Well, what happened there? What?
It wasn't really like that, oddly enough. The roadie, John, again, who I can't say enough nice things about because he was just one of those guys that really
John
made you feel
Harris,
good.
he's talking
Yeah,
about.
it just made you feel like a good, welcome person. And he was just friendly, you know. Anyway, he was quite good at wangling things, and he used to wangle this box van off of some pal of his. So we're going back from the gig, and we're in the back of the van with the kit. So
Freddie was in the back of the van.
oh, aye, everyone's in the back.
God.
I mean, oh, aye.
I've got a picture of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to that too much. So we're just in there, and Freddie went off on what I assumed was a kind of he was a theatrical kind of guy, so even then, I mean, and in those days, if you used the word camp, it didn't mean anything other than that was a kind of style of behavior, you know? And he just went off on a rant about, oh, it was terrible, everything was awful, the lights were off, and, well, that was somebody else. You know, because you're a support band. It was just dreadful, nothing worked, I hate it. This band is kaput, it's all over. So they never said bugger off. I think they were just maybe being nice to the new idiot, you know? And I suspect that they probably had decided that amongst themselves that I was probably way too young. Because I was considerably younger than they were, despite how I look now. I still don't know how Brian's got more hair than I have. Very disturbing. Anyway, so I was just shuffled out in what you could describe as really quite a nice, humane kind of way. And to me, kind of, that was the end of it. I mean, there were other elements prior to, but that was the end of the actual gig. And I went off, and in a couple of weeks, I decided, well, I'm bored with bass. I picked up a guitar and started another band.
You started another band after that, yeah.
Well, you do when you're young. I mean, it's just one band comes and you know, they come and they go. It's not like, I mean, you're not really doing a career thing. You're doing what you love doing. You know?
Did you think that was the end of Queen?
Well, that's what they said. You calling them a liar?
No.
There's a song about that, isn't there?
Yeah, liar.
So, I mean, I think with Freddie, he's such an emotional person. And obviously, from then on, I only have exactly the same knowledge as you guys have got because it's just what you observe, you know? Maybe for that moment in time, he absolutely 110% meant it. Because people do, you know, they get very upset about stuff, and when they're all keyed up, and particularly if you're a front man doing a gig, I mean, relatively speaking, it's pretty easy being a muso in a band, really, compared with the front man. The responsibilities are all so different, you know? So maybe that minute, that was the end. Not doing any more. But obviously the next morning, they had a wee ring round and decided they were quite happy without me. Thank you very much. And you just have to go with that stuff in life, don't you, you know?
Did you feel you fitted in with them? I know you're only 17,
Yeah,
but...
I had no problems. Maybe I was just so totally insensitive. Not impossible, huh?
So you've done these like 6 rehearsals with them. Did you socialise with them? Did you go round to the flats?
Not to anywhere they live, but I spent a day up with Freddie at the old boot stall, which was...
Oh, did you go to Kensington?
Yeah, that was quite an eye-opener. A lot of very strange people wandering about wearing very strange clothes. I quite liked some of them. But that was great. I'd spent another day... Now, you have to excuse my memory. I think it was with Roger. But we were out basically hoofing the ground trying to get some gigs organised because that was very thin on the ground in those days. You couldn't just like go and turn up. The pub music explosion hadn't happened. I mean, gigs were hard to come by. It was mostly colleges and the like, you know. But they had a pal called Paul Conroy, a name he reminded me of yesterday because I'd completely forgotten it. And he was just a good guy. And as far as I can see, he just basically arranged gigs really out of the goodness of his heart for these guys, including the 2 that we did. I think he later joined Charisma Agency or records or something. And that's Old Compton Street, just behind Shaftesbury Avenue, where his office was. And that was great. So we had a fantastic day just hustling the business. I was learning a lot, as you can imagine. Stood me in good stead later on, because it was a short time, but I really learned a lot about how you behave. And despite what they said about me, I learned a lot of other things. But there you go.
So when you left Queen, is this? I heard you were in a band called Deep End.
Never heard of them.
So Deep End doesn't exist.
Sorry.
RAF.
RAF was my band 10 years later.
Oh right, okay.
Because after all that, I then got myself. I was in Delane Lee. I got a job as a tape op in a Delane Lee recording studio in Wembley, and much to my amazement, I found Queen's old original demos in the storage room there, because they've been rehearsing their stroke, being used as guinea pigs on the new equipment as the place was being commissioned. And then I got a job there about a year and a half later. Oh, wow. So that was weird listening to that stuff. That's a lot of the tunes from the first 2 albums, but completely unfinished. I mean, I think they can be traced on the internet.
They actually put them on the
Did they do
Universal on the re-release, yeah.
So, they're kind of not unfinished, but they don't have all the embellishments that you would expect, So very interesting. Just to work there, it was at that time I met a guy called Big Jim Sullivan, who some of you may know who that is.
Yeah, the bouncer, wasn't he, Jim Sullivan?
Get you, eh? No, it wasn't from Liverpool.
No.
And Jim was probably the top session player in the UK for, probably 15 years. And he's called Big Jim Sullivan because on sessions in London, you'd have Big Jim there and wee Jimmy Page beside him. They were the 2 guys you booked for any music. But anyway, he was based out of the same studio, and he taught me to play guitar, or what I can remember of it anyway. So I was really, really lucky. I spent a lot of time in my life in a room standing next door to people who are really quite interesting. But I've managed to just grab a wee bit through osmosis, I hope. So yeah, so that was Delane Lee. Then I moved on to CBS Records in London, in central London. And then up to Edinburgh, because I got fed up with working in London. Punk was happening, I wasn't really into it. And got a wee studio up there. Made some demos in my downtime with a songwriter I met. My wife was an air stewardess, so for me to get to Los Angeles cost me 60 quid return, which was fantastic. I know, you're not bad, eh? So I booked myself a motel room on Sunset Strip, not knowing it was 45 miles long. Aye. These offices are from here to here and back again, Day 2 was hiring a car. And bashed on a lot of doors. And in the end, I had a wee spiel. I'd made a wee 5-minute segue album of all the hooks of the tunes. And the thing was, I've come 6,000 miles to see you. Have you got 3.5 minutes? And amazingly, it worked. So I saw a lot of people. Got told to bugger off by quite a lot of them. But lucky for me, the guys at A&M Records said, we quite like that. Put a gig together and we'll fly the A&R people across. So back home, arranging a gig in Edinburgh in a kind of a place not unlike this, a bit smaller. And 6 weeks later, I had 12 guys from A&M Records in Los Angeles, and we were doing a showcase. And then we had a deal for 2 albums. And we didn't get asked to do a third. I can't imagine why. Didn't sell any, that was it. But we had a great time. So for 2 years, I was based between Scotland and Los Angeles, because being the engineer, because the thing is, I really am a recording engineer. I love music, I love playing as well as I can, but what I really know about is how to record stuff, And that was that.
So I've got a question for you, Doug. How come you were so elusive? We couldn't find you, we didn't know the surname. Did you keep yourself away from Queen on purpose, or?
I suppose the reality is, initially it didn't bother me in the slightest bit because I just moved on to another thing. Then, of course, over a period of a few years, I'm buying the albums. I'm going, bloody hell, I recognise that song. That was amazing. It was fantastic. And then you think, if I start talking to that about it sounds like you're a bit kind of, it should have been. I'm not like that. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been nice, but I'm not het up about it. My life's worked out just perfect. But, so I just kept quiet about it. A few people that I know knew about it. And I think we had one quite nice moment because when I was doing my RAF albums, the first album we tracked in Air Studios in Oxford Circus in London, above Peter Robinson's shop it was then. And when we were doing that, I just happened to bump into Brian in the corridor. He was down there doing music for Kampuchea, fundraising album, I think it was. And I think, oh, gosh. Now, much to my amazement, he recognized me and said, hi, Doug, how you doing? And I thought, that's nice, I exist, it's fantastic. And I said, well, do you mind just coming down and saying hi to the guys? Because we've got a block on Studio 2 at the minute. So I had David Kirschenbaum, who's a VP, A&R, LA, blah, 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 A&M. It's great. It sounds like it should be a military character. And right enough, so Brian pops down, gives it the big hi, how you doing? So the guys that I'm working with from Edinburgh, who are just a bunch of guys from Edinburgh, You've never seen so many jaws hit the floor so quick. You know? It was great. I know it's a terrible, terrible character flaw in me, but I was really pleased he turned up because I always had that wee suspicion they probably thought I was telling porcupines about my time when I was a kid, you know. But it worked out. So there you go.
You formed a video production company, which I think you're doing now.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, when I decided that I didn't want to be one of those guys just playing in blues clubs, but in the daytime job of going through the bins down Princess Street, you know, looking for fag ends and that, I thought, I better do something I can actually earn a living. And my wife agreed with that as well. And I looked around. The technology between recording music and making video programs was becoming very, 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 very close, which really means computers. And videos have beginnings, middles, ends. They have lyrics as overdubs. I mean, there's a big lot of reality. There's similarities. I thought, I can do this. And it just so happened I found a small finance video company that were up there who had big money behind them. So they had all the kit. They had no knowledge. I pretended to have knowledge and got given the run of this. So I basically taught myself on all their kit for 2 years. Said, thanks very much, lads. You're not very nice people. You're a bunch of drunks. I'm off. And thought, well, I can do this. It'll keep me going for maybe 4 or 5 years whilst I work out a real career. And here we are 30 years later, and I'm still doing it.
Would you like to have made a Queen video?
Is that a real question?
Yeah.
Aye, that'll do. That'll do nicely. But I think, you know, there might just have been 1 or 2 personality conflicts, perhaps. I'm used to telling people what to do. And I have a suspicion they wouldn't be taking that.
So how do you look back now on your short time with Queen? And here you are in front of all us hardcore Queen fans.
I'm pretty hardcore myself. And a Queen fan. No, it was great. I mean, a friend of mine, he does acting and would like to be like a real big-time actor, but he's actually got a proper job, but he does small-time acting. And I spoke to a guy called Mark Blake. Are we okay? Yeah. Who wrote that book. And interviewed me, and I said, because I liked his work, I said, well, okay, because I always kept quiet. When people have found me before, I've just said, no, not interested. He said, it's a story that only I can tell, and there will be people who are interested. And I'm thinking, no, don't be daft. I'm just a wee footnote. I'm a T-boy kind of done okay, you know? But here I am. You convinced me as well.
Good.
I'm not sure if you were lying or not.
No, I'm not lying.
So here we are. No, it's great. I mean, would I have liked it to have gone another way? Yes, of course I would. Might I have been one of the casualties of that kind of overindulgent rock era? Well, I'm easily led. I might easily have done. So maybe it's absolutely all for the better. Would I have met my missus? No, I wouldn't. Would I have my kids? No, I wouldn't. Probably different ones, but, you know, you can't. And let me think about that one for a minute.
What do you think about these conventions that are held every year?
It's a complete, overwhelming, astonishing event. I had no idea stuff like this went on. No idea. It's great. And everyone has been really, really supportive, really, really nice. Talked to a few really interesting people. Some of them even been polite to me, and some of them even talk back. So, no, it's great.
So what does the future hold for Doug Bogie?
Well, I've been trying to retire for the last year, but the phone keeps going, and I'm too mean not to take the work. So that's really about it. In reality, along with a couple of pals of mine of similar vintage, we're trying to do a bit more music again and take it out of the attic studio and back into a public domain. In reality, will it happen? I don't know, maybe. But I'm having fun trying.
Fun's what it's all about, isn't it?
Fun with a wee sprinkle and a passion.
Okay, maybe we've got some questions from down below if Nick's got the roving mic. So there's a couple of questions. Anyone got any questions? Yeah.
Oh, scary bit coming up.
Okay, we've got 2 down the front, Nick.
Go on, Nick, go on.
Stick your hands up. Where are we?
In the middle here. Carrie, I think, yeah. Can't see with the lights.
Hello, Doug. Thank you for coming to see us. 2 things. 2 things. Thank you on behalf of Robbie Valentine for taping last night.
Can't hear you, Carrie.
It's last night. I can't speak.
Throat gone.
Okay. Thank you on behalf of Robbie Valentine for taping last night.
Oh, no problem.
Also, there's a tour coming up. If they asked you, would you go play?
That is so cruel. Well, actually, a serious answer. I have, in fact, spent the last 40 years pining away in a garret waiting for the phone to ring. Do you know it hasn't? I can't believe it. I think they've lost my number. Nah. Yeah, come on, eh?
Give them the sympathy.
Do I look like I need sympathy? It looks like I'm eating all right anyway.
Behind
well,
you,
wouldn't that
Nick.
be lovely? But it's not going to happen.
Go on, Valentina.
just while the mic's here. Yeah, I'm not a stalker, but do you still live and work in Edinburgh? Because I'm from Edinburgh, and that's really cool. Are you going to do like...
See me after. Yeah, I do indeed. I live outside in a place called Pencaitland.
Oh, cool. Just because you were saying you might be doing like taking music out of the studio and into a public domain. That would be really interesting.
That's the plan.
I'm not a stalker. It's just no one's ever from Edinburgh.
Listen.
It's exciting.
I've been living my life waiting to be stalked. Come on, go for it.
Also, just thanks for coming. It was really entertaining listening to you talk.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Behind you, Nick. In front of you, Nick. Adam.
Hi, Doug. I've got two parts questions actually for you. The first part is, when you played in Queen, was Freddie known as Mercury or Balsara at the time? And the second part of my question is, the two RAF albums that you made, are they still available? Do you have copies? What style of music was it?
Okay, Freddie was really, to me, it was Freddie, but he was definitely Freddie Mercury. It was definitely, that was on the cards at that time. But again, it was such a short period of time, and there was no promotion involved in those days, so it wasn't, you didn't read anything. I mean, it was like, we ad like that in the local paper, and it would be, yes, and in very, very tiny writing, support Queen, lights, 50 pence, you know. And that was as far as it went, really, in 1971, anyway. Oh, second part. Yeah, well, no, they're certainly not available. I mean, they're bloody antiques now. I lost all mine, so I actually, this is terrible, I bought mine on eBay. So I do have a couple of copies, but they're on eBay. What else would be, all right, I'll just be egotistical for a moment. They were very derivative, kind of foreignery, a bit Queen, funnily enough. They were good, but they didn't cut the mustard. I worked with a singer-songwriter called Dave Valentine, all from Edinburgh, and I know, isn't that bizarre? He was too perfectionist. I'm a bit rough and ready. I mean, I like a guitar to sound like something you've just strapped on and crunched with, you know? Everything was all, we worked very hard to try and make them lovely, and they were good. The songs were good, but it didn't have that bite. It didn't have that edge. And you have to have the edge, and you have to have the front man that can carry it. We didn't quite have that, you know? We tried. 2 albums is a fair crack, you know? We sold a few, but say not enough to be asked for another one. So to be found on eBay, a remainder shop near you. I might stick them up on my Facebook page for a laugh at you die-hard lunatics. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
I'll give you a good laugh, if nothing else.
Any more questions? Any more? No? Everyone's got... Paul, you haven't got a question? That's very rare. Very rare.
One at the back.
Yep, we got one. Keep fit with Nick.
Hello, Doug. It's not really a question, it's just... I wonder, is there any possibility of getting them £60 return flights to Los Angeles?
Sorry, that offer's all gone. Mostly because she retired.
No, just on a serious note, just you were saying that Freddie in the early days hadn't the best of voice. Obviously, he must have practiced over the next few years, because in 1985 he stole the show at Live Aid. So was it just a raw voice at the time?
It's a little hard to distinguish because I'm behind the PA speakers. Are we talking about Freddie's voice and how
Yeah.
it grew, basically?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, like everyone, I mean, the guys were all still... Queen didn't come fully fledged and fully formed. It was a young band, a bit older than I was, but still young in their early 20s. Everyone has to grow into what they do. All of them. That's absolutely all of them. No one starts at their best. And Freddie just got better and better and better. And his voice grew to the personality that it finally inhabited. And that's my take on it anyway. So it's not an insult to anyone saying that you're a bit rough and ready when you start. It's kind of how you should be. And in those days, he didn't have the strength of voice. But then, we've all seen the concert footage, we all got the gigs. Amazing, yeah? So he got good. He got pretty good. The boy done well.
Did you ever see Queen in concert?
Yeah, sadly, it's one of my regrets. I didn't. I think that was me being a bit antsy, you know, because I can't go, and I can't then go and then not say hi to somebody, and I can't go say hi to somebody unless they think you're hustling them, you know. So I just got to left that one.
Any more questions? Any more? No. Last chance.
Last chance.
Okay.
Hello.
Well.
Hi, now Freddie's not with us anymore, and Queen are touring. Would you go and see them now?
Well, I think after today I'd have no excuse, would I? Yeah, of course I would.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been quite an eye-opener for me, as you can imagine. I can't believe anyone's interested in something that happened 40 years ago. To a wee lad, you know.
Seeing as you were so unsure about coming even last weekend.
I was calling
are
you
you
names
glad?
last night.
I know. Are you glad you come?
Aye. Glad I came.
Well, we're glad
Thank
you
you.
come. I think everyone here appreciates it.
Think of a question. A wee question. All right, just a wee thing. Part of the reason this has all come about is I spoke to this guy called Mark Blake, who wrote what I think is quite a cracking book about the early life and times of Queen and how it developed. If anyone would like this copy, I need the first person to tell me, who did I replace?
He got it. Adam Tidd was the winner there.
The man with the attractive hair that I would quite like to borrow it. Come on, Adam. All right. That's a big. Really? All right.
I know there's people.
See you after.
I know people want to ask questions but won't on a microphone.
That's fine.
Never be shy. We're with family. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But if you are a bit unsure of asking on the mic, I'm sure Doug will talk to you after we come off stage.
I'm hanging about today. So.
Sorry? Play the song again.
Are you really
Can
ready
we,
for this?
Andy, can you put that video on again, please? Cheers, mate. That's nice to have it aired twice.
We could karaoke it.
Yeah, we could, couldn't we? Freddie,
We were nearly there last time.
love you.
But believe it, it's from the heart, guys. This is not a piss take. This is as it should be, you know. Eventually.
Featuring Doug Bogie on bass, guitar,
Well, everything actually, really.
vocals. I didn't know you could sing.
Nor can I.
Did you sing at the Queen concert? Did you sing at the Queen concerts? No.
I was up the back,
Leaping about.
being irritating. Hopefully I haven't irritated too much today, but I apologise in advance.
Celebrating 40 years of the greatest band in the world.
The show goes on, it never ends. From the beginning into the future, the world for all our lives. A journey started, never ended. 40 years. They found their voice, he sings out still. So glorious. Such blinding passion, a life of thrills. Queen Convention brought us here. Celebrate 40 years. Our friends surround us, let us cheer. Let's play the game, the time is near. It's a kind of magic, oh my dear. Music forever in our hearts. The night sky sparkles with their stars. The show goes on, it never ends. We love you.
It only really never ends because all you guys and all the work you do over all these years, 40 years of support. Fantastic. Let's keep doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Mr. Doug Bogie. Thank you so much, Doug.